3 of them? Oh, shit. That's no good. Alright, well, there's only ever supposed to be 1 of these parked. But it looks like there's like 3 of them, for whatever reason. Anyways, these are the things that we get to go inside and take a tour of. Players can buy these, I think for a good 2.5k or so, 2.4 thousand? Not exactly sure the current price, but yeah. It's... well, we'll show you what it is. Let's get in there. Docked at Security Port C. Security Port C. Alright, Security Port C. Perfect. Oh, Jesus. Maybe they could turn on some lights down here? Gee, come on, guys. Alright. Oh, well, now. Okay, thank you. I willed that into existence. You're welcome. And, yeah. Speaking of welcome to VR Citizen. I'm Chachi Sanchez, and I'll be your guide. This is another virtual tours. Instead of the expo, we have the Javelin. This bad boy right here. We just walked through the tube and we went into the side. So this is basically a destroyer.
Part of this year's Invictus celebrations, I'd like to invite you to take a look around and get an up-close look at an active military vessel. Some of the actual crew members have graciously volunteered their time to explain what life is like.
Fireworks still going off.
I would like to remind you that the entire ship is not available for exploration, so please be respectful of unauthorized areas. Thank you, and enjoy your visit.
And goes back to almost a T-pose. So, yeah, this is the Warhammer, the UEES, one of the oldest javelins that they have in service. Comes with things like these gigantic turrets that you can hop into. And remember, players can buy this for their guild, or, you know, if they think that they're good enough to solo fly this somehow. There will be NPC crewmen, but I don't know how wide that system is going to go. And, yeah, we're in a turret. And for those wondering, yes, full head tracking works inside of a turret. It's like I'm actually sitting in here. And I actually can look around with my helmet and my head on my body, and then turn, especially this one, which has the big 2 giant guns. Make your own sound effects, because it's cool. But, yeah, this thing basically has 1, 2, 3 of these on each side, a gigantic quad cannon on the top and bottom, and a crap load of torpedoes and missiles all over the place. It's got everything that you want or need out of a gigantic battle destroyer. Battleship, destroyer, whatever you want to call it. Come on, guys. Let me in! Alright. So, yeah. They have all these neat little plaques and stuff that I could normally read, but the NPCs like to get in the way, so we'll just...
Let's settle down. My name's Lieutenant Commander Alderman. I run the turret complement aboard the Warhammer. That means I'm in charge of coordinating fire between our various gunners during a combat engagement in order to maximize combat effectiveness. But when we aren't in combat, I strive to keep my team sharp by running through engagement drills and simulated encounters. Now, the Javelin comes standard with 15 turrets, 13 of which have embedded operators. There are 6 turrets like the one you see here that run along the side of the ship, each of which is equipped with a pair of size 7 cannons for larger targets and a pair of size 4 Gatlings for smaller targets like fighters and even incoming missiles and torpedoes.
Nice.
We've got 4 more turrets on the bow of the ship, armed with size 7 energy cannons and 3 gunners on the underside with the same. All this firepower is coupled with a heavy payload of ordnance to make the Warhammer a real problem for all sizes of ship. Hence why we can be tasked to operate independently on patrols without support from the rest of the battle group. During the Xenothreat incursion, our gunners were responsible for the destruction of over 70 hostile elements and several capital ships, as well as protecting the ship from incoming ordnance. As a special treat, we've safetied this turret so you can get a taste of what it feels like to be a gunner. All the weapons have been deactivated, so don't worry about accidental discharge. But I'll remind you this is an active military vessel, so be respectful all the same. Thank you, and have a great Invictus.
Really nice to let them show where your taxpayer dollars are going. I mean, I don't get to go inside of a freaking cannon on a modern-day battleship, I'll tell you that much. Let's see what we got here in the crew quarters, of which this is, like, you know, officers and whatnot in their own special area, I think, maybe? Or you could designate that as such. Then you got this one, and then you got a whole, lady, you got a whole nother set of crew cabin back here. And these are all double bunks. I think it can hold like 75 total crewmen or something like that. It's insane. While no sign of the incursion remains, the UEES Warhammer was boarded in a surprise assault on June 25th, 2861, when a Vandal boarding ship, known in the Navy as Spikes, made it past the UEE's Warhammer's point defense systems and punctured the hull. While 5 off-duty starmen tragically perished in the first moments of the assault, the crew were able to rally and overwhelm the Vandal boarders before they managed to gain control of any vital parts of the ship. These brave starmen were instrumental in the Warhammer's eventual victory that day. So yeah, real cool place. Again, this is a buyable and flyable asset that players will be able to enjoy. They get to kick all the NPCs off when they get their hands on it. So yeah, a lot of the ship is locked away here. I'm trying to read all the cool infographs here, but NPCs like to ruin that too. Okay, welcome to the mess hall, everybody. Oh, she's got a fancy hat. Look at her. Alrighty, so this is where all the fun happens. And by fun, I mean good food, and most importantly, the arcades. Eventually, all of these arcades will be usable and playable in-game. So literally mini games within, literally an arcade game within a game. So you'll have your classics like Space Race, the ever-popular Galactic Warfare. This one's currently offline. But you got Moon Assault Nexus, and then Hyper Vanguard Force 4, baby. And then another copy of Space Race. Also, we got the air hockey table. Some other ships that players can buy have like a pool table in them and stuff like that. All of them, I believe, will eventually be fully usable and interactable. So that'll be fun. Let's see here. The Warhammer signature dessert, lovingly referred to as Warhalla by the crew, the UEES Warhammer has one special dish on its mess hall menu since the ship entered service in 2832. This carrot halwa, a sweet cardamom spiced pudding, was special request by the Warhammer's first captain, Omar Singh, in celebration of his birthday. It has since become a tradition among crew to eat this dessert on special occasions and celebrations. Lieutenant Timway credited the carrots in the dish for setting the new naval accuracy records in 2902. So yeah, neat little area. Pretty cool that they have all this aboard. I mean, they kind of have to if it's going to be an actual working asset.
Everyone, my name's Lieutenant Horrigan, and as you can probably tell, this is Warhammer's mess hall. Definitely one of the more popular spaces on the ship. The mess has a fully automated dispensary since we operate on rotating shifts. We have a standard crew complement of 65 to 70, and meals need to be available at all times, so we have a culinary team always on duty, ready to lend support. Famous pilot Harry O'Reilly was once quoted as saying, if you ever want to take the temperature of a ship's crew, spend 20 minutes in their mess. Now this is one of the main social areas of the ships where crew members from different departments can catch up in their own downtime. We also use the mess for social events like birthdays, holidays, and promotions.
Never a dull moment in this game.
Our skipper, Captain Medcalf, is a big believer in casual gatherings. It's in an effort to entrench camaraderie. So we're in here pretty often. Now, you've probably noticed our games in the corner, so I'll just address the question that everyone asks. Yes, it's pretty competitive. The XO currently has the score to beat. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to have a look around.
That's funny that the senior officer has the high score on the arcade machine. As a proper naval officer. Shut! Alright, there we go. Let's get upstairs. Come on. Alrighty.
Hello, and welcome to the UEES Warhammer. This Javelin-class destroyer was originally built by Aegis Dynamics and has been in active service since 2832. Launching under the command of Captain Omar Singh, the ship initially served as a combat support vessel in the 2nd Fleet, 6th Battle Group, a posting that put it close to the Vandal front. The Warhammer saw action during the fall of Caliban in 2884, where it protected retreating civilian and naval forces when the system ultimately fell, earning a ribbon for valor in the process. For the next several decades, the Warhammer transitioned between fleets in a variety of support and patrol positions, even participating in the UEE push to reclaim the Nexus system in the 2930s. Most recently, the Warhammer distinguished itself as the primary combat vessel to repel the outlaw group known as Xenothreat from the Stanton system. Since then, the Warhammer has been placed in dry dock for repairs, but is heading back to active service once this year's Invictus festivities are concluded. The room you're currently seated in is the main briefing room for the entire ship. Based around a hollow volume built by Microtech, the crew gathers here to discuss everything from battle strategies to repair schedules. The Marine detail assigned to this ship also uses this room to plan out their boarding actions or outline combat strategies. This room has even acted as a venue for off-duty activities, such as vid screenings or sporting event parties. We hope that you'll take the opportunity to explore the ship and get an up-close look at one of the vanguards of order. On behalf of Captain Metcalf and the rest of the crew, I want to wish you a fantastic Invictus, and hope we see you next year.
Very, very cool. So yeah, that's kind of the layout of this thing. It's a big ship. I think this is
Welcome to the UEES
around 400 to 600 meters
This
or so.
Javelin-class destroyer
It's not as big as the, what do you
has
call
been
it?
in active service.
Bengal that's flying around the stations. Boy, I wish we could read all of these. A heavy hitter on the battlefield. Ever since the line's introduction in 2690, the Javelin has been a brawler. Unlike other ships that can fulfill multiple roles like transport, the engineers at Aegis Dynamics clearly intended for this ship to put itself in harm's way. Aside from the turret installations that line these halls, the Javelin comes fully stocked with heavy ordnance to challenge capital ships and a complement of Marines to raise hell on the ground. Simply put, the Javelin is a fighter. I just think it's so fantastic that you can walk around inside of this prematurely. This is going to be a big asset and used in the single-player campaign, but for right now, players cannot get their hands on it even if they have it purchased. Once the game is out, I think will allow us to play with them in the online universe. Because I believe this ship and the Idris and one or two others, I think, are pretty much, quote, ready, but they haven't updated the models for the online game, so yeah. All right, we got another info panel here. One small step. Among the crew of the UEES Warhammer, I think there's a missing apostrophe there. The first step of this stairwell is commonly known as the skip step. For a brief period in 2928, the gravity plate located directly below this step was intermittently malfunctioning. This resulted in numerous starmen tripping and stumbling as they used the stairwell. As a health hazard, repairs were immediately done, but despite numerous attempts at correcting the issue, the problem kept returning. During this time, the crew formed a habit of not utilizing the first step as a precaution. In the end, it turned out to be a software issue in the gravity controls, but the tradition of hopping over the skip step remains today. Nice. Very fun. Is there a thing over here? A proud lineage. I remember the exact moment that I stepped aboard the UEES Warhammer for the first time. To me, it was already a legendary ship. Sure, most people dream about serving aboard the Kurugiri or something like that, but I'd grown up hearing about the Warhammer. My dad served on it immediately after graduation, so I think the thing that struck me the most was its sense of history. This was a ship that distinguished itself in some of the biggest military operations of the past 100 years, and the crew always seemed to carry that shared sense of duty to live up to the high standards set by the last generation of crew members. I could see why it had such a profound effect on my father, and why it continues to have such a profound effect on me. Adelaide Marker, leading starman. Very cool. Alright, let's head back downstairs, read any other little info plaques that we missed, and then that's pretty much it for the tour. Open the door! There we go. Skip. Skip all the steps. Yes. Okay. Oh, that's the shower and Met's hall.
And this, as you probably guessed, is one of the 2 barracks on the ship.
He sounds weird compared to the other NPCs.
You must be thrilled to see where Navy personnel sleep, and let me be the first to tell you, it's every bit as exciting as past.
I could barely hear him.
Javelins are really great when it comes to sleeping arrangements, as they have enough bunks for the full crew, which is amazing because it avoids situations known as hot bunking, where you swap out bunks with somebody on the opposite ship, and that is horrible. This one time on my old ship, I share with this guy who had just the worst.
Maybe if the fireworks weren't constantly going off.
The military could have weaponized it kind of bad. And I had to try and fall asleep with that every day. So,
I think he's talking about, basically they got hop swapping bunks. There's 2 shifts of crew they have to share. One guy's working and the other guy's sleeping on the same bunk. And so yeah, the socks smell bad is what he's getting at. Funny story, but the audio's all wonky on him. Ah, the one by the turret. This is the one that we missed earlier. The Fall of Caliban. On July 7th, 2884, the UEES Warhammer was part of the naval defensive action against the Vandal, now commonly known as the Fall of Caliban. While providing cover for the civilian evacuation of the system, the turrets were fired so frequently and for such an extended duration that the Exo Sander Freeland's after-action report noted that the turret support struts had begun to warp from the heat of the sustained fire. Gunner Tobin Lank commented in a letter home, "I could hear my sweat sizzle as it dropped off of me. As a result, Aegis Dynamics reworked the cooling systems in future Javelin models." So, yeah. That's pretty much it, folks. That's all of the sections of the ship that they're allowing us to visit. Which is, you know, a good chunk, but it's not the entire thing. So, yeah.
Alright, let's settle
If
down.
you haven't checked it out, stop back, or stop by the ports whenever they're docking and allowing the tours, and check it out yourself. And if not, I got you covered with this tour here today. And if you're watching as a replay on YouTube, thank you so much for doing all the voodoo that you do, and liking, subscribing, and commenting below. With that said,
The UEE Navy would like to invite you to explore one of our fleet's active
till next time,
The
everybody,
UEES
stay safe
Warhammer is currently docked at
and
this
fly
station
right.
accepting tours.
Y'all have a good one. I need to get footage. I need to get 4K footage of all the fireworks. And the ones at the expo. Yeah.